Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories like these. Now, let's get into today's story video. Me, 52 male. Just found out at least 4 of my 5 children, 33 female, 30 female, 28 male, 24 female, 14 female, are not mine. Wife, 51 female, won't say anything. I'd want to start by saying that I apologize in advance if this gets long and rambling. I'm sorry for being in such a bad mood right now. My whole life has been turned upside down over the course of the last several weeks. I just want to submit as much background information as possible so that I may get the best possible advice and representation. For obvious reasons, I am still apprehensive about discussing this with my friends, parents, and siblings about my orientation. Background: my wife and I met in high school and were married while attending college. Up until a few weeks ago, I felt we had the perfect marriage. We have 5 wonderful children together. Truly, regardless of what I'm about to say, I consider them a terrific blessing. We were the stereotypical high school sweethearts. We go out together, we never fight. And I think I've done all a loving spouse should do for his or her spouse. No, I'm not saying this to present myself as the perfect husband. For example, my profession has always forced me to work long hours, and I may not have always been there when she needed me. But I do want to emphasize that I've never believed our marriage was in danger at any point. My wife has always gone above and beyond to support me and care for our children, and I would have never suspected her of being unfaithful in a million years if she hadn't shown me the signs. My oldest daughter has just had an ancestry test, and the results of the ancestry test proved unequivocally that I was not her father. In private, she confided in me, giving me the results, and I could see she was distraught. It goes without saying that one of the first things I did was to persuade her that she was my daughter and that I would always love her unconditionally. Second, since ancestry tests are not completely reliable, the two of us decided to go ahead and have a genuine paternity test done together. It's back, and I'm not her biological father, as you may have guessed. This was devastating news for me to hear. To be honest, I'm ashamed to say that I sobbed in front of my child. Discovering my wife's adultery at the same time as realizing how distressed I was making my kid by my reply, although I wished I had kept my feelings to myself for her sake, I did not do so. Then I asked my other children, with the exception of my youngest, to come and see me at my new home. When it comes to my wife's infidelity, I wanted to know the depth of it since, if it was a one-time incident, I may be able to move on, especially given how long ago it happened. Nonetheless, I did not want to notify my younger daughter, since she is still in school and a teenager, and I did not feel it was appropriate to inform her at this time. We tell the other 3 what occurred, and I reassure them that I love them completely and will always be there for them, but I need to know how long this has been going on. I can't even begin to describe how moving their response was. They didn't care that I wasn't their biological father. All they cared about was how heartbroken I was. I feel like their constant support has been the only thing that has kept me going these past several weeks. So we've completed paternity testing for each of the 3. Not only are none of them my biological offspring, but 4 of my children are fathered by 3 separate men, which, in some ways, exacerbated the situation. It's almost as if she wasn't just having one affair, but several. I'm not sure how this makes things worse, but it does. So I tell my wife about it, expecting her to confess and seek forgiveness. She refuses to confess. She doesn't take it seriously at all. She claims that the tests must be defective. All 4. What the heck am I meant to make of that? I keep bringing it up, and she dismisses it, becoming more irritated with me. She attempts to guilt-trip me if I bring it up. Do you truly not trust me after we've been together, since high school, etc.? But how can I believe her in the face of such overwhelming evidence, now that I've rambled and recounted what occurred? I suppose I should ask a few straight queries for guidance. How can I tell my children that nothing has changed between us? I feel that the way I've responded, absolute meltdowns, has made them doubt this, no matter how many times I reassure them. How should I manage my eldest daughter? I believe our marriage is doomed, and I will have to tell my daughter something. I don't want her to know the truth till she's older, but I also don't want my wife to lie and make me seem bad. Is there any way you believe I could or should preserve my marriage? I've been married to my wife my whole life, and it's difficult for me to imagine living without her. I know the solution should be as simple: leave her, but we have 5 children together. If there is anything that can be done to rescue our marriage, I want to seriously examine it. Edit. Many thanks to everyone for their help and suggestions. I haven't responded to as many comments as I should have, but I have read them all and have taken your suggestions to heart. I'll keep reading any comments or messages you send my way. I can't thank you enough for all of your help. If this is fixed, I may provide an update, but if she continues to lie, I doubt I'll bother since there isn't much else I can offer. Based on the suggestions in this and the r/parenting threads, I've chosen to get further testing only in case a rare event occurs. Confront my wife in front of all 4 of my elder children. Inform my youngest about the problem. Inquire if she wants a paternity test. It will be fully up to her. I'm definitely going to get some kind of counseling. My mental health has been worsening over the past several weeks, and I owe it to my children to keep it together. I have not ruled out some type of counseling depending on if my wife reveals the truth and what her explanation, if any, is. But for the time being, I believe divorce is unavoidable unless she radically alters her attitude. Contact a lawyer and prepare for divorce if necessary. I'd want to thank everyone again for taking the time to show their support and provide suggestions. Edit 2. I suppose I should address some of the questions that have been raised. How did the ancestry findings indicate that I was not her father? My whole family is Irish. Other than my own family, I have no relatives outside of Ireland, and I even have the characteristic red hair. My daughter's ancestry findings revealed no ancestors from the British Isles, Western Europe, or Northern Europe. That's what triggered the alarm, but it's far from conclusive, thus the paternity testing. Which 2 children are fathered by the same person? My 2 oldest children are fathered by the same man. How did your wife get pregnant with your children? Our oldest daughter was not a planned pregnancy. All the others were planned. We conceived each time several months after we began trying. Our first 3 planned children were both our thoughts, but she forced me to have our youngest. She was in her late 40s and wanted one more kid before it was too late, so I consented. She was conceived many months after we began trying as well. Do you have infertility? I'm not sure. I've never taken a fertility test. But the fact that none of our planned children are mine leads me to believe that I am. I'm going to get a fertility test as soon as feasible. Update 1. I've had a lot of messages/comments asking for an update, and there have been a lot. Remind me of your remarks. I am unsure how they work, but I assume they are also after an update. I'll provide an update, but it won't be anytime soon. This whole shambles will take a long time to make sense of. I'm not sure when I'll make an update, but it'll be at least a few weeks, if not months. But I assure you that it will arrive at some point. Thank you all again for your great support. Update 2. I debated whether to provide an update since nothing was ever fixed. I decided to put it here in case anybody else was still looking for one. I apologized for not posting as soon as I promised. My children and I confronted their mother immediately after she made the Reddit post. It didn't go well at all. I suppose the realization that no one believed her eventually sunk in, since she utterly broke down and apologized loudly, but refused to explain herself or do anything that would offer me peace of mind. We scarcely spoke for the following 3 weeks. I hoped she was deliberating, and I expected her to ultimately sit me down and explain herself. I believed she was so deep in a lie that it had gotten out of hand that she needed some time to think things through. Nope. When I returned home one evening, she had committed herself by overdosing. So I lost the love of my life, and I never know what she did wrong. I wish I could go back in time and forget about everything. I honestly wanted to work through any faults she made, and now I'm simply racked with guilt that I prodded her for an explanation. The saddest aspect of this struggle was seeing my children try so hard to keep me together after losing their mother. Anyway, please tell your family that you love them while you still have the opportunity.